Okay. Hello. As you can see, we do have all of your cards out. This is actually my third time trying to do your message, and it feels calm. It feels quiet. I think we'll be able to do it this time. But the first time I tried, it just like all of a sudden it was like noise coming from everywhere. Just there was construction noise, like right outside the window where I do these readings. I decided to start laundry around that same time, and for some reason it was being particularly loud, and my dog was going crazy, so so I'm like, why am I trying to like push through this reading right now, right? Like, so I stopped, and then I tried to do it again. It still just felt, and granted, like it could have just been me feeling overstimulated, and I needed to ground myself. So I stopped the reading again, and I repotted a bunch of plants. So I think I got like all the soil out from under my fingernails, so you don't have to like look at that, but just, sticking my hand in soil, my hands, I should say, in soil, perfect. I feel grounded. I feel less overstimulated. Like I said, even at the beginning of this, like there does seem to be a sense of calm. And anyway, part of me thought maybe I should like re-pull the message, because who would know? Just really kind of start from scratch, and that didn't feel good. So anyway, we already have your cards pulled, so we don't have to do all that. I don't think I've even said it yet, but this is the reading for the 2-4 human design profile. If you don't know your human design profile, there's a description in the link below. There's a link in the description below for you to get your human design body graph. And one of the bits of information for the purposes of these readings, your profile will be listed on there. Now, you don't have to know a single thing about human design. If you do, great. But if you don't, that's okay. I do try my best to not use a ton of, human design lingo as to, cause confusion, because truly these messages, they're not really meant to teach you human design. But it is just an avenue for additional information that maybe comes from my first line, because I'm a 5-1, and truly in times like I really can't get enough information. But, like not every Taurus is a 2-4. Not every Libra is a 2-4. So it's just an additional avenue for information. So all you really need to know is your profile. So let's get into the reading. The oracle card that came out for you is the Trout and Lily of the Valley. And I'll read what it says to you. And then it says purification underneath it. Both the Trout and the Lily of the Valley symbolize return and restoration. A river or lake teeming with trout indicates a balanced and healthy ecosystem. Conservation efforts at rewilding streams often focus on reintroducing trout to their native habitats once rivers have been decontaminated and barriers such as dams removed. Likewise, in the Victorian language of flowers, the lily of the valley communicates a return to happiness. This is perhaps due to the legend of Saint Leonard, a hermit, interestingly enough, a hermit said to have slain the last dragon in England. Wherever the blood of the dragon was spilled, lilies of the valley grew. And once the dragon was killed, Saint Leonard returned to his life of peaceful solitude. What a perfect card for a 2-4, like having that hermit line, right? Upright, your difficulties are subsiding and happiness will soon be restored. Now is a perfect time for quiet meditation and deep introspection. Reversed, a toxic element is in the way of your happiness. Consider what pollutants may be upsetting your balance and seek to remove them. It's interesting because, like as a 2-4, that second line it's the hermit line, right? So it is like very isolating, like, really just kind of wanting to be with yourself in your own environment, doing whatever it is that you want to do. I could imagine that your space, whether it's your bedroom, your office, your entire home, your living room, whatever, right? I can imagine that it is very much like an extension of you. Like people would be easily able to know your style, type of thing, even if it changes often. Like I have a friend that is a 2-4, and I feel like every other year she's completely redoing all of her decor. But it's you need to do that, right? I mean, a hermit cave, right? Like you want your space to feel comfortable for you. You want your space to give you as much energy as you kind of put out. You want it to rejuvenate you and fill your cup. So by all means, make it, as comfortable as possible. And then, you have that fourth line, the opportunist line, which is about networking, community, friendships. Like your best opportunities are going to be found in the people that you know, even acquaintances. It's like if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for a date, like relationship, romantic interest, truly, the best way to find those things are through people that even if you just put a word out, you put a little birdie out there, it gets around to the same person, and then the perfect opportunity comes back to you. But it's like this dance between coming out of your cave, mingling, with that fourth line, mingling with people, making connections with people, and then going back to your cave and, rejuvenating and spending some time alone. Like, there's that balance between those two things. So I don't know why I even got into that whole thing, but we start with the Two of Pentacles. And Pentacles are about our money, how we get it, how we save it, how we spend it. It's our time, our physical presence, our physical body, even anything that we place worth and value on. And it's interesting, like this Two of Pentacles, there's this little string here. The Two of Pentacles talks about balance. So it's interesting that the book is talking about balancing an ecosystem, and if there are toxic things, around you, just doing your best to get rid of those things that just kind of do throw you off of balance. So, the Two of Pentacles generally talks about juggling responsibilities. It's also, even because there's this infinity symbol that's wrapped around the pentacles, there's this constant flow of energy. And of course, like as we become adults, right, and get further into adulthood, just the responsibilities start stacking up. And it's like, okay, balancing checkbooks, balancing accounts, right? Like making sure that you have enough to do the things that you are responsible for. So it's this string attached here. It does draw my attention there, because it's like, is there something that feels like an obligation, or it feels like, there's some sort of string attached to where you feel like either pressure or, even just some sort of tension wrapped up in some capacity. This even is like giving me the feeling of like machinery or, like a chain on whatever, I don't know what that thing would be, like the wheel that would be allowing the machine to keep moving forward, like, to let the belt keep, I don't, like car problems. Because then I started thinking about like a timing belt, or, like in your car, there's belts that wear out or break or something. That's interesting. And then we have the Five of Wands, and the Five of Wands is conflict. There's a bit of competition with the Five of Wands. Also, I always think of Mulan when I see the Five of Wands, because, like warrior training, and they all show up to warrior training, just super arrogant, cocky, like full of ego, being competitive, right? Like, I'm the best at what I do, and everybody else sucks. And, there's not much camaraderie between people. There's a lot of competition. However, though, right? The purpose of them even being there is to train, to become warriors, right? They need to learn this stuff so that they can go into battle and be successful, right? So through the whole thing, eventually they do develop friendships. They do set aside their differences. They do, it's like, the most unlikely people kind of team up and, again, right, become friends. And they do go into battle and they are successful, which is the Six of Wands. So the Five of Wands, to me, it is about like training, conditioning. It could be conflict with other people, because there is generally 5 people on the Five of Wands, like on the card. I believe there's usually 5 people, 4 or 5. I mean, there's more than one, at least. So these two paired together, it does feel like the whole, a toxic element is in the way of your happiness. Like, there could just be like something, it almost kind of feels like a thorn in your side somehow. There could just be some kind of annoyance that's like kind of taking you out of your vibe. And it could just feel like it's like wrapped up some kind of way in your responsibilities, or it has something to do with, work or whatever. But, it would be something that it involves other people, and it's just like kind of throwing a kink in things. But it's definitely, it feels like temporary. We have the Keeper of Vessels, which is the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups, interestingly enough, is like about healing. But for me, queens are when we embody the energy of the suit ourselves. So we recognize the energy within ourselves. We learn to work with the energy. We accept it. We love it. Speaking of, love and cups, because cups do have to do with our emotions. How are we expressing ourselves? How are we feeling? What is our connection to love? It's also empathy, compassion, intuition too. I mean, even, of course, there's this image of this heart here, and all of this, kind of energy flowing out of the vessels of the heart, or the arteries, whatever. So it's definitely very like heart-centered. It could even just be a reminder to really, tap into your heart space. Like if there is just some sort of conflict going on, just be sure to like check in with your heart. Really, like, how are you feeling? Is it just a minor inconvenience right now that, doesn't require any type of frustration or anger or dissatisfaction, bitterness, is it something that you can just recognize within yourself as what it is, temporary? And it might even just be, a chance for you to recognize even too, like how far you've come. Like there's an element here of healing. So it's like depending on how you approach the situation or how you react to the situation, even with the purification on the Trout and Lily of the Valley, because purification is about cleansing, right? So even the Queen of Cups with the water element, cleansing, purification. There's also, of course, this key in there. So it could unlock something for you. There could even just be an element of like showing emotional maturity. And it may just be something like, it's not like somebody else is going to recognize and be like, oh my God, that was so emotionally mature of you. Or, like, wow, you've really grown emotionally or something, right? It's not necessarily like somebody else is going to recognize this within you, but it would definitely be something that you would be like, oh, you know what, like a couple months ago or a year ago or whatever, I would have totally reacted to that differently. I'm really proud of myself. Like growth. I love that for me. And then we have the 9 of Swords. It's interesting, these two being next to each other, because they're just tougher energies to get through. The 9 of Swords have to do with our mindset, our beliefs, ego, truth, honesty also, but like divine, objective truth. And I mean, like, how are you communicating your beliefs? How are you communicating? Because this 9 of Swords, interestingly enough too, like, so the queens are individuals. When you recognize the energy within the suit yourself. So that's why I was saying, like, it's just going to be maybe something that you recognize within yourself that, you have had this growth, or even just, really being empathetic and graceful with yourself. And the 9s are also individual completion. So the 9 of Swords is about fear and anxiety and doubts. Like, it's, the things that we worry about, that hamster wheel that we can kind of get on in our heads sometimes. So this is it's like one of those things of like, if you are worried about something, it's almost kind of like you're creating the drama for whatever reason. And maybe that does have to do with some old emotional stuff. Maybe it does have to do with the interactions that you're having. However, again, if it is something that you have been worried about, or that, it's caused some anxiety to come up in you, then this 9 of Swords is a message about self-care. Again, really, even like I was saying before, like really, giving yourself compassion, giving yourself grace. It could even just be too that like the solution or the outcome of whatever the situation is going to go better than you think. Because, if you're thinking about like all the what ifs, and especially if you're thinking about those what ifs on the side of scenarios that are bringing you anxiety and fear, like just worried about like how it's going to go, my part in it, other people's part in it, because maybe we had this interaction, whatever, right? Like it could definitely go better than you anticipate. And it could be because there is this, you're bringing a sense of emotional maturity to it, or the scenario is going to help you mature even that much more. Because then we have the Magician afterwards, and the Magician it's a 1, so it's a new beginning. Obviously, I mean, it's a card that comes after the Fool card. So the Fool card is like, I'm taking this leap, I'm doing it. The Magician is like, okay, now what? Like, what skills, resources, knowledge, experience can I draw on in order to like make this thing happen? And again, the Magician is like, you have exactly what you need right now to do the thing that you want to do. I always think of the Sword of Gryffindor from Harry Potter when the magician comes out. Because, sometimes we get stuck in, I don't have enough this, I don't have enough that, I'm lacking this, whatever, right? And that's all fear-based, right? Like we're stalling. And the magician is like, no, you have exactly the amount of time, the exact amount of energy, the exact amount of money, the exact amount of, skill set, whatever it is. And anything that you need beyond that will show up for you at exactly the right time for exactly the right purpose. Don't even worry about it. So that's why I think of the Sword of Gryffindor, because it shows up to the person who needs it at exactly the time that they need it for the exact purpose that they need it for, right? And then it basically disappears, or it just somehow gets like exchanged in some kind of manner, right? But they didn't even know that's exactly what they needed, but there it was. So that's a magician card, right? And then it's paired with the Eight of Wands, which is fast moving. It's, now all of a sudden you're like, okay, we got through that. We have, the magician here. Now, boom, boom, boom. It could be communication. It could just be knowing what it is that you want to take action towards. It's knowing the direction that you want to head in. Even, like I just got this feeling like with the Trout card and just the way that the Eight of Wands looks, it's like, the river starts flowing very quickly. We have the Death card at the bottom of the deck, the Queen of Swords, the Chariot, Six of Swords. The Death card, I'll use another Harry Potter reference, like the Phoenix. The Death card is it's equally as important about the thing ending as the thing that's beginning. So I always say when the Death card comes out, every new beginning disguises itself as an end, because you have to have the end of something, whether it's a thought pattern, a behavior pattern, a relationship, a job, a way of living, something has to end in order for something new to begin. It's just not possible for both of those things to exist at the same time. So one thing's got to go so something else can come in. And again, even just the Harry Potter reference with the Phoenix, like, not that, obviously, not that the Phoenix is like a Harry Potter thing, but I just started thinking about, or that popped into my head. I can't remember what the Phoenix's name is called, but just how, it dissolves into ashes. And literally that is the only way for it to be reborn, because both of those things, like, you can't have that rebirth without bursting into flames and becoming ash. And then we have the Queen of Swords, which is, it's, again, swords have to do with our mindset. There's, an intelligence aspect to it, mental clarity. The Queen of Swords is also like no effing around, they're going to cut through what is not true. So it could just be like setting boundaries. The Chariot, again, is like, it's fast moving, it's divine guidance. The Six of Swords is also like moving forward. There's all this like movement forward after the Eight of Wands. So it's almost kind of like, getting through the situation that you're in, and then things will just, boom, take off. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I will talk to you soon. Bye.